Aita, my husband, said it's my fault. My 37M husband and I 35F have been married for 9 years with 2 children, 5F and 8M. Before we got married we had a conversation about what we wanted from each other and what some of our main goals were. 2 of our biggest wants/goals were he wanted a stay-at-home wife when we had children and I wanted a small homestead. He never wanted me to work and I agreed and he agreed we could have a small homestead. I used my saving to buy our house which had 5 acres of land on it so we wouldn't have to rent as he didn't have anything saved up at that time. Keep that in mind because it will come up later. I had also bought all kinds of seeds to plant and chickens. After about 3 months I became pregnant with our son and everything seemed wonderful. Fast forward 4 years later and I'm pregnant with our daughter and I'm selling our vegetables and flowers, eggs etc. from our homestead and began to make some cash on the side. My husband thought it was great and would make jokes about how now he could relax. After I had our daughter he started complaining about how he wanted to be home more to spend time with us and help with the homestead, so I suggested he work part-time. He worked part-time for 2 years and then quit his job altogether, but the second year he barely helped me with our homestead and instead played a lot of video games, which was fine. I was used to doing the homestead on my own and he still worked part-time, so it wasn't a big deal at the time. He then quits his job and for 1 year does nothing. We argued almost every day. He drank almost every day and did nothing but play video games and have bonfires with his friends on our property for an entire year. I've worked hard to get our land where it needed to be and have started a flower business and beekeeping for honey, which has been going strong for the past year, which has made us more money and is the biggest reason why he completely quit his. At this point we have been married for 7 years. I ended up sitting down with him and having a conversation on why he doesn't help me and his behavior of drinking every day, but he said he was just taking a break and that I owed him for all the times he paid the bills and I was at home apparently living it up. I explained to him that even though I didn't work I still contributed to our home. He had a home-cooked meal almost every day and I worked hard on the land and in home plus took care of our children and bought our house, so it wasn't as if I did nothing. He became irate with me and started saying I was being a nagging B********h, and I was literally speechless as he had never spoke to me that way. Fast forward another year and he's doing the same stuff, only his best friend from multiple states away calls him and tells him he's moving 20 minutes away from us. His friend starts coming over almost every day, only he starts talking to my husband about his behavior and my husband starts hearing his best friend compliment me on our garden and flowers etc. and my husband begins getting irritated over it, and when his friend isn't around he mocks him in front of me and starts accusing me of liking him. I told him that it seemed as he was projecting his own feelings as he's done nothing for this family for the past 2 years and that I've never cheated on him, and if he didn't want his friend over then he should talk to him about it. He said no and that it was my fault. Fast forward 4 months. It's been 9 years now and I'm at the end of my rope. I've watched the person I love become an alcoholic. His friends and family have tried talking with him and he absolutely hates me and feels I've ruined his life. He calls me his goody two-shoe wife and until now I haven't given up on him, but I just can't keep going like this. His best friend made a pass at me and told me he would take care of me and that my husband has turned into a bum. I told him no and that even if I divorced him that I would never turn around and date his friend, in which I told my husband about. A few nights ago my husband had a bonfire party as it was his birthday. He got wasted and I caught him kissing one of his other friends' wives and his best friend and him got into a physical fight over it. His best friend told him he wasn't man enough for me and they fought again. My husband began yelling at me and called me his perfect goody two-shoe wife with her perfect sourdough bread and her perfect this and perfect that. I explained to him that I'm not perfect and I don't understand why he says this. He screamed at me and told me everything was my fault and that I ruin everything. He made such a huge scene with all of our friends there and I had made him a homemade carrot cake as it was his favorite and he smashed it. After the party was over he ended up waking our son with his yelling and our son came up to him and yelled at him to stop, but my husband wouldn't. I tried calming my husband down and telling him to stop yelling in front of our child and to open his eyes, thinking that would get him to stop, and my son looked at him and yelled he hated him to him. My husband became quiet and looked down at him and then looked at me and then said I was now turning his own son against him. I put him back in bed and told him that sometimes grown-ups make mistakes but that everything was going to be okay, and I cuddled with him until he fell asleep. My husband argued with me some more, said I emasculated him, and passed out on our kitchen floor. All I've tried to do is my best. I don't drink alcohol, I dress modestly, I cook and clean, and I'm called a goody two-shoes by my husband, and for some reason I feel bad about it. I feel like it's my fault. Maybe I should have told him no years ago when he wanted to stop working, but he is a grown man. I don't know what to do or how to go further, but I can't keep living like this and I can't make him do anything. Am I a stick in the mud and not fun anymore? I don't know, and he's got me looking in the mirror. Maybe I'm too serious. Our kids are noticing now and they can't start thinking this is normal because it's not. I don't even know who he is anymore. Did me making money from our homestead emasculate him? Am I going to turn into a statistic single mom now? Probably. It sucks because no one wants their family apart, but I feel there isn't anything else I can do, and I feel therapy will be needed afterwards because I'm doubting myself. This morning he left to one of his friends' houses and said that if I tried divorcing him that no one would want me and that he would take half of everything and that I would be forced to sell our home and business, but we signed a prenup and I think he forgot about that, but still, who says that to the person they love? I feel so depleted. Edit *, I was able to set up an intervention with close friends and family. I took my kids to my mom's for the night so they would be safe. The friend he was with thankfully went with it and brought him home, and when he realized it wasn't a party and an intervention, he became angry. I ended up calling the police, and because we live in Florida I was able to have him Baker acted. The police officers said the facility would hold him for at least 72 hours, and I was able to talk with my lawyer and get the divorce papers going. I hope he wakes up so that he can at least be in his kids' lives, but he will have to get sober first. Thanks again for everyone that commented.